Hey, what is up guys? So I wanted to actually talk about the OCG October 1st 2019 limit or ban list. This is definitely going to be very interesting because in the same case for TCGs, we're also going to be expecting a ban list in October as well. So with that, I actually wanted to take a look at every single card and use that as either speculation or predictions for the upcoming TCG ban list as well. So to begin with the Forbidden, there's only 3 cards. We have Eclipse Wyvern, Guard Dragon, Argopane, and we have Soul Charge. Now Soul Charge and Eclipse Wyvern are already banned in here at the TCG, but seeing Guard Dragon, Argopane actually being hit as well definitely makes sense. The Guard Dragons have actually been dominating this current format. Not so much that they're broken, more so that they're just appearing way too much. And Argopane is one of the cards that just special summons the monsters from the extra deck, making it just far too easy for people to do a lot of negations and create those unnecessarily you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh type of boards, which is something we definitely don't want to see too often of. So I think because of that, shifting it out of the actual game itself definitely makes sense. Most people play 1 anyway, so limiting it to 1 definitely wouldn't have helped. So seeing that it got forbidden, very interested to see if that will actually happen for the TCG. As for limited, they have White Dragon Wyvern Buster. Very interesting for us. It was already hit both white and black, but for some reason they're just hitting the white. I guess that makes sense simply because rockets were a dark type, so with Dark Dragon Collapse Serpent you can't really utilize it in too many light dragon decks. I mean, you know, I can't really think of any on the top of my head, so yeah, I guess it's no big deal for them. We'll come back to Yugioh. But Yugioh being hit to 1 is very interesting as well. We have Dragonet. So Dragonet obviously setting off with all your combos, play together with Cynet Mining, allowing you to play a lot of different plays or combos, and as a result being hit to 1 will definitely slow them down. Not so much that they're stopping them, you can still definitely play it, it's just that they're being restricted just a bit. Mystic Mine to 1, I mean, yeah, we see it a lot in Sky Strikers. Even then, there's also Mystic Mine Burn. Not a fun card to actually go up against. Not particularly broken, but like I said, not particularly fun. And I think the best idea here is to definitely restrict it so that we don't see it too often. We also have Zodiac Barrage, definitely very interesting. I don't really see Zodiacs making any kind of impact, so honestly, this card's not a big deal. And Dragonic Diagram going to 1 as well. I believe it was banned in the OCG along with Masterpiece, so seeing it actually come back to 1 for them is, yeah, that's great. I mean, for us we have 3, so no big deal. But of course the card we want to talk about is Yugioh Skull Dread. Like I said in the previous list, Yugioh is definitely a very interesting case here. I thought that 3 is definitely just way too broken, even 2 is really crazy, so hitting it to 1 was definitely a very perfect thing. I think that Yugioh isn't particularly an insanely broken card. It definitely doesn't compare to something like Gunblood Dragon, it definitely doesn't compare to something like Firewall, doesn't compare to Summon Sorceress. It's just that card that's a nice extra utility, but having it at 3 was definitely far too much for the game, so I definitely do predict that Yugioh will definitely be hit in the next ban list. Will it be banned? Potentially, yes, but will it be limited? I certainly hope so, because it is definitely going to go out of control if we actually leave it for any longer. As for semi-limited, we have Shadow Mist. The OCG had it at 1 for a long time, so seeing it actually come back slowly is a great thing for them. Orpheus Scorpio at 2, I honestly don't see too much of a big difference putting it at 2. I think 1 would definitely make a bigger impact, or if you're going to bring it back, you might as well bring it back to 3. And then we have Lady Debug, of course, a little bit of a small hit again, but again, not too big of a deal at this point. Salomon Greats have just maintained themselves on the ladder at the moment. We also have Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. I think it's at 3 here at the TCG from the last list, so no big deal. Spiral Resort actually going to semi-limited, very interesting. For us, it's actually at 1, so I would actually be pretty happy to see it come back to 2, or maybe even just unlimit Spiral Resort. But at this point we have no idea what's going to happen. But then again, in the previous ban list, or our most recent ban list, it was pretty crazy, so honestly I wouldn't be too surprised if that happened. Moving on, we have Reasoning. Now Reasoning is definitely a really crazy one. Seeing that actually come back to 2 might be a little crazy, because in our previous list, and even in OCG, who's always had it at 3, Monster Gate is just a really interesting card to bring back, and it's a similar card to Reasoning. So seeing that, I could actually potentially see Infernoids actually making some sort of comeback as well. So if that actually happens in the TCG, who knows what will happen. We're also getting Draco Face Off, not too big of a deal. Pendulums haven't been too particularly amazing here, at least in my opinion. I haven't seen anything impactful with Pendulums so far. And then as for 1-for-1, that's a really big game changer. Seeing that actually come back to semi-limited, or come back to 2, very insane. So if that actually happens in the TCG, that could definitely set you up for different combos. Maybe it's actually a safe choice given we already have Nibiru, but I guess we'll just have to find out. But 1-for-1 is definitely one of those cards that are very interesting to actually take note of, so definitely don't forget about that particular card. It might actually be a very interesting thing to actually happen if it does come to 2 in TCG. And finally we have Unlimited, so we have ABC Dragon Buster, not too big of a deal. We have Dark Arm Dragon, not particularly amazing like it once was. Hyper Librarian, we already had that come out. Trishula, same thing. Necros Cycle, Limiter Removal, no big deal, and Solemn Strike. Again, all cards that most of us already have at 3 of here in the TCG, so not a big deal there. That being said, we are actually getting a Cyberstein. I don't remember if Cyberstein actually got an errata, but seeing it actually come back to 3 is pretty crazy here. So yeah, I can't really think about that. I mean, I could definitely see lots of big crazy OTKs happening, but that being said, I definitely don't have particular knowledge on what's actually happening right now, or what could potentially happen with Cyberstein, so definitely let me know your thoughts on that. But yeah, this is just really interesting to see this list. I mean, most of the cards that were affected in this particular OCG list has already been affected in our current TCG, but then again, we're also getting pretty crazy things. Is this just Konami's way of trying to really make a big impact for the game itself? Who knows, but for me, I just see cards like 1-for-1 and even Yugioh being just such crazy cards to actually be hit, and even Cyberstein. So yeah, tell me what you guys actually think about this, but in the meantime, I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you next time.